So I don't know about you, but actually my favorite player to actually watch in the NBA right now is absolutely Ja Morant. Now, Ja's ball handling skills, well, those should actually be taught in school. That is just how great of a ball handler Ja Morant is. On today's NBA Rundown, we're going to talk about whether or not you believe that Ja Morant is the NBA's most underrated superstar in 2025. Tell me what you think, North America. Please go ahead and drop your comments in when you have a chance. Who do you think is the most underrated NBA superstar? Now, on today's NBA Rundown, we're going to talk about Ja Morant. As you see now, I'm going to run a bunch of highlights from just how great Ja Morant has been in 2025. So we're going to talk about what Ja's done to this point and where he actually stacks up against some of the other superstars who are also a little bit underrated and in some cases overrated in the National Basketball Association. I also want to cover some of the absolutely crazy Luka Doncic style rumors related to Ja Morant in the upcoming offseason. And if you will, how do you feel about a backcourt that includes Luka Doncic and Ja Morant wearing, if you will, the yellow and purple uniforms of the Los Angeles Lakers? I never know if I'm supposed to say yellow or gold when talking about those Lakers uniforms. But let's begin today with just how great Ja Morant has been so far in 2025. Now, Ja has missed a significant amount of games, obviously, with a wide variety of injuries. He's played in 33 games to this point. And when you think about just how great Ja Morant has been for this Memphis Grizzlies team and compare this to what the team actually didn't do last year, which was, of course, win a lot of games. Now, in the Grizzlies' defense, they certainly had a wide variety of injuries. And in fact, if you think about it, they basically were the New Orleans Pelicans before the New Orleans Pelicans were the New Orleans Pelicans of 2025. Now, Ja and the Memphis Grizzlies are currently sitting at 36 and 19. Ja's scoring average is a little bit down this year. He's averaging just over 20 points. For his career, he's basically averaging 22 points per game. His rebounds per game is pretty much in line with what he's done throughout his career, just over 4 rebounds per game. And of course, the makeup of the team has changed a little bit, so he's not being asked necessarily to rebound as much as he had to earlier in his career. And from an assist perspective, he's got 7.4 assists per game. His high was 8.1 assists per game, which he actually did in the 2022-23 campaign. Now, I'm not going to get into all of the off-the-court silliness that is related to Ja Morant, where he's showing off a gun and defending his mom at a mall. Look, I'm not going to get into any of that. I think Ja Morant has absolutely paid a pretty hefty public relations nightmare price for all of the things that have actually happened with him off the court. And I'm a big believer in redemption stories, and I think Ja Morant at this point, if there is a basketball player in the NBA that I have a chance to watch on any given night, Ja Morant is absolutely near, and most nights at the top of the list. Of course, it sort of depends on the matchup. But assuming Ja Morant is playing in a matchup that I'm actually interested in, I will absolutely watch it. Now, coming up tonight, Ja Morant and the Grizzlies are playing the Orlando Magic in Orlando. That game is actually just tipped off. And I have to say, I will absolutely be tuning in to catch some of that game tonight. Ja is absolutely fantastic at going to the hole. He does a tremendous job getting the rest of his team included in the game. The Memphis Grizzlies this year have been running a very interesting offense that basically doesn't have any real pick and rolls. They basically have what I call ghost pick and rolls, where it's like a pick and roll, but there's not an actual pick made. It is a very interesting offensive strategy that the Memphis Grizzlies have put into play this year. Now, the Grizz are currently sitting in third in the Western Conference, 36-19. And when you take a look at the leading scorers in the NBA so far this year, there are certainly a handful of players ahead of Ja Morant in that particular bucket. But there's also maybe two handfuls of players who actually average more points than Ja does, but are not as spectacular as Ja Morant is, and quite frankly, are not as important to his team as Ja Morant is. I mean, you go from Tyler Hero, Zach LaVine, CJ McCollum, Jordan Poole, for God's sakes, is averaging more points this year than Ja Morant. So for those of you out there that sort of look at this particular podcast and call it hogwash simply because Ja Morant isn't averaging more points per game, it is his entire package that is absolutely being underrated by a lot of people in the media so far this year. Just ask any member of the media who are your top 5 players to watch in the NBA, and I pretty much guarantee everybody will have Ja Morant in that list, which is why Ja Morant right now is so underrated in the NBA. Now, will the Memphis Grizzlies have enough to actually take down the OKC Thunder in the playoffs this year, assuming they get to a point where they get to play them in the playoffs? I kind of doubt it. I think there's still a player or two away, but Ja Morant is so great, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see the Memphis Grizzlies actually in the NBA Finals this year. And finally, I want to talk about the Shams report, which came out a couple days ago, where Shams basically said the Los Angeles Lakers are planning on trying to make an offer to bring Ja Morant to the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, if you're a Laker fan, you'd certainly love that. You most likely would have to give up the farm, which includes, of course, Austin Reeves in a deal. That being said, I think personally the Memphis Grizzlies would be absolutely crazy to actually move off of Ja Morant at this point. The correct word here is absolutely crazy. Now, we know that Luka just got moved, and Nico Harrison is probably going to be in the unemployment line come this summer if things don't actually work out for the Dallas Mavericks for the remainder of this season. That being said, I do not think the Memphis Grizzlies, a small market team, should even consider moving Ja Morant out of Memphis. Now, if for some reason there's something going on behind the scenes that we are not privy to, then certainly I would understand a decision by the Memphis Grizzlies. But I don't think that's the case. This Grizzlies organization has stood by Ja, and Ja has stood by the Grizzlies organization. The Grizzlies are currently in third place, as I mentioned, in the Western Conference. As far as I'm concerned, this is a rumor that will never happen this summer. All right, I'd love to know what your thoughts and opinions are. Please go ahead and drop them in. For the NBA Rundown, I'm Dave DeBaugh, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.